41 seconds. That's how much time there was to stop the train in the fatal Taichung metro accident. Taiwan considers extending an olive branch to Beijing by welcoming back Chinese tourists.
I'm Rik Glauert for TaiwanPlus, here in Batanes in the Philippines. I've got a story for you on how indigenous communities with ancient links are reviving that connection.
Plus, NBA Hall of Famer Allen Iverson is in Taiwan to meet with fans. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Leslie Liao. A new video has surfaced from Wednesday's deadly Taichung metro incident. It shows that after the construction crane fell onto the tracks, 41 seconds passed before the train started braking. It's renewed scrutiny of the metro system, Bing Wang reports.
41 seconds. That's how much time there was to stop this train after a crane fell onto the rail track. But it didn't stop, and there was a fatal collision. The midweek accident in the central city of Taichung killed one person and injured 10 others. This video shows passengers realizing the obstruction and fleeing to other cars. An attendant is seen calling on the radio for an emergency stop to the train. Taichung's metro is driverless but has a 2-meter sensor on the front car, which automatically comes to a stop if an obstruction is detected. But the emergency brakes were not triggered during the crane accident. After the video surfaced, Taiwan's transportation authorities began inspections on Taichung's metro and are looking into construction safety standards.
提醒交通部对地方在轨道周边的工程，它的建造由地方来审的时候，不是只有监管单位，是捷运局、地方捷运局也都会审。在审查过程如何落实相关规范，要有所要求。
The fatal accident in Taichung has also brought attention to the metro system in Taiwan's capital Taipei, which is larger and carries more people.
不管是用雷达，或者是影像，或者是其他的红外线，这部分我想我们也有一个团队，我们来这个评估看哪一种形式。
One line of Taipei's metro system currently relies on passenger notification and a detection system. There are no personnel on the trains except when passing through tunnels.
随车人员是在减少的，慢慢发现说不太需要有随车人员，所以随车人员就慢慢就撤回来。如果有随车人员的话，可能会更安全一点。
The fatal incident in Taichung has every metro system in the country reassessing its safety measures in search of solutions to any further system failures, with the aim of keeping Taiwan's trains safe for all. John Su and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan will officially suspend its free trade agreement with El Salvador on May 15th. The decision comes after the Central American country decided to unilaterally suspend the agreement last November, a major breach of contract. El Salvador severed ties with Taiwan in 2018 and shifted to negotiating a trade agreement with China. Taiwan's Foreign Trade Bureau said the impact will be minimal. Taiwan has not received formal notification of the suspension from El Salvador. Taiwan's Interior Minister says that talks are underway to welcome Chinese tourists to the offshore Jinmen Islands. Tourism between Taiwan and China is currently banned. Joyce Zeng has more.
This is Jinmen, which translates to Golden Gate. It's one hub in the so-called Mini 3 links, travel and postal routes which have maintained contact between Taiwan and China since 2001. But despite the decades-old agreement, traveling between the two places is still far from easy. Chinese citizens who wish to travel to Taiwan must get special permission from the governments of both China and Taiwan. Borders between the two countries were closed during the COVID-19 pandemic, but even after COVID restrictions have been lifted, travel for tourism between the two remains banned. Recently, though, Taiwan's Interior Minister has voiced his support for opening Jinmen's gates to Chinese travelers in what he calls a show of goodwill.
相关的一个政策，陆委会跟国安会，他们来做测定。不过我们就是做好这个一切的一个准备。
China-Taiwan relations are historically tense. Beijing doesn't recognize Taiwanese sovereignty and considers the island nation as part of its own. But given its proximity to China, observers say Jinmen may be a good place for Taiwan to extend an olive branch. The Jinmen Islands are located in the Taiwan Strait and is closer to the Chinese coast at just 10 kilometers. Meanwhile, it's about 200 kilometers from Taiwan's main island. Even with the need for an extra travel permit, Chinese tourists made up the largest share of Taiwan's record high arrivals count in 2019, before the pandemic. Some believe restoring and encouraging more movement between the two countries could help cool the animosity.
我们也呼吁两岸的政府少一些政治干扰，多一些善意的交流。
Even if Taiwan were to open its doors to Chinese tourists to Jinmen, these travelers would still need permission from Beijing. Progress on this front will take effort from both sides, but it seems that Taiwan is willing to be the first to reach out. Ricky, Alex Chen, and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
Kuomintang presidential hopefuls Terry Kuo and Ho Youyi met in New Taipei. Kuo and Ho are the two frontrunners for the opposition Kuomintang or KMT nomination. The KMT is expected to announce its candidate next week. Ho and Kuo shook hands at the event and exchanged a few words. The organizers said their appearance together was not planned. The U.S. and China have held, quote, candid, substantive, and constructive talks in Vienna. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and a top Chinese official Wang Yi spoke on Wednesday and Thursday. It's the highest level talks between the two sides since a Chinese balloon was shot down after floating across the continental United States. Washington says it was a spy balloon. Beijing denies that. A U.S. State Department handout said the two sides discussed bilateral relations, Russia's war in Ukraine, and Taiwan. Japan has lodged a diplomatic protest after China's ambassador to the country warned Tokyo that it would be, quote, be led into the pit of fire if it tried to split China. The comments were made by Chinese Ambassador Wu Jianghao several weeks ago. He was responding to recent statements from Japanese politicians indicating that a conflict in the Taiwan Strait would also involve Japan. Japanese Foreign Minister Hayashi Yoshimasa called the comments extremely inappropriate. Hayashi said peace across the Taiwan Strait was important for both Japan and the international community. The Philippines hosted the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Fleet Review featuring naval forces from around the region. Warships from ASEAN member states were showcased in Subic Bay on Thursday. The review comes as several members of ASEAN are embroiled in territorial disputes with China over areas in the South China Sea. Philippines Defense Minister Carlito Galvez Jr. praised the event. He said that the ASEAN's voice for peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific can be heard louder when all member states come together.
If all the armed forces are talking to each other, I think we can prevent war to happen.
The indigenous Tao people of Taiwan and the Batanes of the Philippines have shared history going back centuries, but the two groups are finding their commonality is still something to be treasured and strengthened. Rik Glauert reports from Batanes in the Philippines.
Like his ancestors before him, Ivatan fisherman Veronico Avancenia returns to shore, bringing in his traditionally hand-caught bounty. He and his wife Blasilda are among some 20,000 indigenous Ivatan in Batanes, northern Philippines, where their unique culture has thrived for centuries.
This is tataya, the simple tataya. Using your muscle to row, not the machine.
This Ivatan community has long relied on the tataya to fish these waters. A seafaring culture they share with another isolated indigenous group less than 200 kilometers away, just across a maritime border. Some 800 years ago, the Ivatan traveled north and populated Taiwan's outlying Orchid Island, bringing with them their language and their culture. The indigenous people of Orchid Island are the Tao, and what is known here as Tataya, the Tao called Tatala. It's not the only similarity between the two far-flung communities. Like the Ivitans in the Philippines, the indigenous minority Tao on Taiwan's Orchid Island are also remote and isolated from the rest of the country.
对，这个就是因为我们就是四面环海，我们的区域的位置是非常相近的。好，那最主要是过去的几百年前的，甚至1000年前的连结之外呢，最主要是他们现在的生活跟我们台湾就是兰屿地区这边呢，它是一个在过去我们的生活非常相近的。
It was a search for their roots that took Ivatan's Awe and Mit's Abelador to Orchid Island, where they recently did a creative residency. Now back in Batanes, they say the trip strengthened their own mission to promote indigenous art and culture.
Well, I think it's important because it's one of the missing pieces that can help us in, of course, in creating the identity of Ivatan. It's one of the piece. So I think it's important to know. The process of knowing yourself is finding the pieces. So we visited there to be inspired, to know more personally.
Like the Tao, the Ivitans are struggling to balance maintaining their unique identity with riding a boom in tourism, and they are keen to share their knowledge with their Taiwan counterparts.
Connecting with them when you get connected, your sphere is becoming bigger. Your sphere of connections, probably influence, would be a good thing because you're promoting further understanding, and you get more people in the group sharing the same culture. That would mean a lot to us, not only with us, but even for them. A stronger voice for people in this area of the world.
With only one flight a day from the capital Manila, and that's if the weather holds, Batanes can feel disconnected from the rest of the Philippines. But by rediscovering and strengthening their ties with the Tao, the two indigenous peoples are finding a communality that transcends national borders. Patrick Chen and Rik Glauert in Batanes, the Philippines, for TaiwanPlus.
Over 350 people have signed a petition in support of Chinese publisher Li Yanhe. Better known by his pen name Fu Ca, Li specializes in books about Chinese politics that are banned by Beijing. Li had been based in Taiwan and planned to naturalize as a Taiwanese citizen. He was arrested on a trip to Shanghai in March to renounce his Chinese citizenship. He has not been heard from in 50 days, but China has confirmed he is under investigation on national security grounds. His arrest comes at a time when China is increasingly accusing people of harming national security and detaining them when they try to leave the country. Taiwan's weightlifting team has won 3 more medals at the Asian Weightlifting Championships in South Korea. Li Yanhe took home gold for total weight lifted in the snatch and clean and jerk events on Thursday. She lifted a combined 241 kilograms, beating out the runner-up from South Korea by a full 10 kilos. Liao also won a gold and a silver for her individual lifts. With several wins earlier in the week, Team Taiwan has now snatched up a total of 14 medals at the event. This week, NBA Hall of Famer Allen Iverson was in Taiwan to meet with basketball fans and up-and-coming players. Allen Iverson has come to Taiwan for the second time ever. If you don't know who he is, well, he's kind of a big deal. Iverson is one of the most prolific basketball players ever. He was an NBA Rookie of the Year, an 11-time NBA All-Star, and the league's 2001 Most Valuable Player. 47-year-old Iverson has been retired for a decade now, but his career has made its mark on Taiwan.
Iverson, love you!
When he arrived in Taipei on Wednesday, crowds of fans greeted him. His plane arrived at 4 in the afternoon, but fans started showing up to the airport at 7 a.m. to catch a glimpse of the superstar. Iverson came to Taiwan to participate in a fan event with thousands of people in attendance. He taught local basketball players some signature moves and even showed that he's still got a little gas left in the tank.
3 points. Yes!
Iverson is one of the greatest basketball players in history. Don't just take it from us. Fellow former NBA player Dwight Howard, who plays in Taiwan now, was also at the event to meet Iverson.
Happy that he made the trip all the way over here. I know it's a long way, but it's Allen Iverson, one of the greatest guards to ever play basketball.
And for all the love local fans gave Iverson, he seemed to love Taiwan right back.
Yeah, this was beautiful, man. It was a great experience for me. So happy came out here to see everybody. And thanks for the love. And until next time, dream big and believe in yourself.
Iverson's visit was certainly a slam dunk with fans. Coming up, a Taipei art fair is showcasing Asian pieces and attracting art collectors. See some of the works after the break.
Hello and welcome to Taiwan Talks. I'm Ian Kavat.
This very aggressive form of cultural revolution-like politics in China seems to be moving forward in this modern era.
This grave injustice is happening.
I think Xi Jinping will not give up his ambition.
We need that kind of mindset to prepare for the warfare.
What implications does this have on Taiwan and the region as a whole?
Just like Ukraine right now, you need people to understand we're doing this for our own country.
Reaffirmed our support for the Taiwanese ability to make their own decisions about their own future.
It's very hard to duplicate in the short time. Taiwan still can continue being the leading position if we put efforts on R&D.
And you are riding on a wave. This is exactly the time you need to double down.
I did not realize I am actually running to be the first Asian woman in the state senate. Our next generation, they can see Asian American is as equal and have the same platform.
Taiwan Talks provides a platform for the voices and perspectives that are shaping our country.
Taiwan Talks, Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. on TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching Taiwan Plus. For more stories from here in Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. In breaking news, former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan has been granted bail. Pakistan's Supreme Court earlier ruled that his arrest on corruption charges this week was illegal and placed him under its protection. The 70-year-old cricket star turned politician was allowed to meet friends and family on Thursday. Khan's arrest by paramilitary troops on Tuesday sparked violent protests across the country. At least 10 people have been killed and 2,000 arrested. Last November, Khan survived a shooting at a political rally. His popularity has only grown as the country's military increases its power. American federal authorities have indicted a man accused of a fatal shooting at a Taiwanese church in California last year. David Zhou is accused of killing one person and injuring 5 others at Irvine Taiwanese Presbyterian Church in Laguna Woods. He was charged with 98 counts, including possession of weapons and explosives, forcefully obstructing free exercise of religion, and federal hate crimes. Investigators say the attack was motivated by hatred of Taiwan. Thailand's pro-democracy opposition party Move Forward is gaining momentum ahead of Sunday's general elections. Its prime minister candidate is calling for landmark reform of military and even the monarchy. Joyce Tseng reports.
Campaign banners lined Bangkok's streets, a last push to the finish line ahead of Thailand's general elections on Sunday. Voters won't get to directly elect the next prime minister, but their picks for the House of Representatives will. Thailand is still trying to revive itself from huge blows to its tourism industry during the pandemic. That's why economic welfare issues are driving this year's elections. Key contenders for premiership include ex-general Prayut Chan-o-cha, who is seeking a third term under a new party. He's been in power since seizing it in a 2014 coup. Chan-o-cha's previous military coalition, the governing Palang Pracharat, has put forth Deputy Prime Minister Prawit Wongsuwan as their choice. But the pro-military groups have been swept aside by opposition parties in opinion polls. One frontrunner is Pheu Thai Party favorite and rookie politician Paetongtarn Shinawat. She's the daughter of billionaire ex-premier turned ousted fugitive Thaksin Shinawat. She will have to fend off the pro-democracy Move Forward party for the top seat. Their favorite, Pita Limjaroenrat, has edged out the Shinawat heir in some opinion polls.
I'm sure the frustration is there, and it will be shown in the ballot, for sure. And Thais will prove that ballot is stronger than bullets.
Limjaroenrat is bringing in a bold set of reforms to reduce institutional power, which many feel is a breath of fresh air for a country where insulting the royal family is a jailable offense. Limjaroenrat's party has been outspoken about how such laws hold Thailand back from, quote, true democracy, a stance that's resonated with young voters.
ทำให้วัยรุ่นสมัยใหม่ค่ะรู้สึกมีความหวังขึ้นมาว่าเราจะไม่อยู่กับระบอบเดิมๆแล้วค่ะ
Limjaroenrat has also pledged to increase spending to fight climate change, push for same-sex marriage, protect abortion rights, and bolster anti-monopoly laws.
Move Forward Party, they represent a new kind of generation.
a new kind of voters in Thailand who need a real change, a structural change. You cannot get rid of the party because they represent a larger political force than their own party.
If local media predictions hold true, the opposition parties move forward and Pheu Thai will have a combined majority in Parliament's lower house. This means even if their choices for PM differ, they could stand together against the incumbent leader, ensuring an end to a military-linked government for Thailand. James Lin and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
Residents of the southern city of Kaohsiung have spotted a monkey hanging out in a local store. While Taiwan's native monkeys are common in the area, this kind of monkeying around came as a surprise. John Van Trieste has the details.
This little monkey was spotted Wednesday in a shop in the southern city of Kaohsiung. It had made itself quite at home on a high shelf and even helped itself to a snack. Formosan macaques like this one are native to Taiwan and are a common sight around the city's outskirts. But even locals were surprised to see this monkey lounging around in a store, except the shopkeepers. While monkey habitat is shrinking, animal welfare groups say that's probably not the reason this monkey's come to town.
那雄猴呢，它成年之后本来就要向外移动、向外播迁，去寻找新的社群加入，然后呢，让它们的基因可以互相交流。
They say that if monkeys get indoors, it's important not to try and chase them out or give them food. They also say it's important not to pile up trash outside, and that proper trash disposal lowers your risk of getting caught up in unwanted monkey business. Alex Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
One of Taiwan's biggest rock festivals is set to continue after public outcry over news it will be canceled for good. The annual Hohaiyan Rock Festival has drawn big crowds and big acts to the seaside of New Taipei since 2000. It's been canceled for 3 years due to COVID-19. And on Tuesday, New Taipei's tourism chief said it would be axed going forward in favor of a local cultural festival. But after music fans and bands voiced their disappointment, politicians intervened, meaning the show will go on. Now that pandemic restrictions have been lifted, an Asia-focused art fair is making a full comeback. Over the weekend, Taipei Dangdai will feature 90 galleries showcasing contemporary art by both established and emerging artists. Our reporter Yu Jing Huang went to check out what's on display.
Filled with dancing lights and calming music, this mysterious universe invites people to walk in for a meditative experience. The downsized galaxy exists in a corner of this year's Taipei Dangdai, a contemporary art fair with an Asia focus. Launched in the same year the COVID-19 outbreak began, the art fair has been unable to grow and develop due to pandemic restrictions. But now that those rules have been lifted, 90 galleries from Taiwan and around the world are back with a pre-pandemic vibrance. This festival isn't just about showcasing the art. It's also about making sales to collectors.
And historically, the two most important markets in Asia have been Taiwan and Korea. Obviously, mainland China has developed a lot since then. But the Taiwanese collectors have always punched above their weight in terms of their impact on the international art market.
The organizers are expecting around 80% of buyers to be from Taiwan, with the rest coming from other parts of Asia, especially from Japan, Korea, and China. To help collectors find something that fits their tastes, the expo showcases a wide spectrum of art, ranging from classic to cutting-edge creations.
Works by famous artists are everywhere here. This stainless steel sculpture is by Zhu Ming, a master Taiwanese sculptor who passed away recently. Pieces from his Living World series are on display as a memorial for the artist.
Although Asian art dominates the show, established Western artists' works can be found here as well. Peta Coyne, an American artist best known for her hanging sculptures, brought a special work that will speak to a local audience. North Star is made from layers of wax-dipped silk orchids, her signature style. This work was inspired by a trip to Taiwan.
So I went to the Orchid flower market last time I was here, and I went, oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. I wanted to get a bed and move in, and so I made it full of orchids, the white orchids, but then I wanted to add something even more special, so I made this whole side that's purple, and that's my favorite color.
Aside from art sales, Taipei Dangdai also features workshops and forums to attract more curators and to open up a dialogue about contemporary art in Taiwan.
我希望台湾可以变成一个策展话语的交流的平台我觉得台湾的观众看当代艺术的模式是非常的知识分子它不像很多其他地方，首尔、香港是比较纯粹的资本主义一些台湾人我觉得是非常看重艺术的这种思想生活。
The first day for VIP visitors has already drawn a large crowd. The organizers are expecting a total of 40,000 visitors. And with pandemic restrictions gone, this year's Taipei Dangdai is a true test to see if Taiwan can claim a leading role as a hub in Asia for contemporary art. Klein Wang and Eugene Huang for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of coral spawning in the waters off southern Taiwan. It's going to be a nightmare to find Nemo in there. I'm Liao. Take care and see you next time.